Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Karen's insolence is boundless. In our first story, she decided to teach our OP how to dress properly in hot weather. And after that, she went to complain to his bosses to get him fired. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Karen lectures me on how morally reprehensible it is to wear shorts and sandals on a hot, sunny day. This happened yesterday, and I'm still kind of baffled at the whole exchange. I didn't think people like this actually existed. I live in a major city in the Netherlands, and this whole exchange took place in Dutch. I'm a guy and in my early 30s. I tend to look slightly younger than that, though. We've had a couple of really nice days in my area this last week, and it was hot enough outside during the day that I went to work in my shorts and sandals with a bright orange tiger shirt. Our company's small and very informal. Several of my coworkers and even the boss won't hesitate to dress for summer if the weather allows for it. Our office is located smack dab in the middle of downtown, so I tend to go for walks during every single break. Yesterday, towards the end of my lunch walk, this woman came up to me with her son, who looked to be about 8 or 9 years old. She very much looked like your typical Karen in her mid to late 30s. Karen: "Excuse me?" Me: Karen: "You shouldn't dress like that." Me, a little flustered: "Excuse me?" Karen, pointing at my shorts and sandals: "It's extremely inappropriate to be dressed like that this time of year." Me: "It's a hot and sunny day." Karen: "It's not summer yet. You should be wearing long pants and proper shoes. I don't need to see your feet. You're teaching my son it's okay to dress inappropriately." Normally, I'm very much the kind of person who tries to avoid conflicts, but I was getting really annoyed already and I hadn't slept much the night before, so I'm ashamed to say I had a short fuse that day. Her kid was barely even paying attention to the conversation and was playing what looked like Pokemon on his Switch. Me: "I can wear whatever I damn well please. I'm in no way obligated to conform to your warped fashion standards. I need to get back to work and I don't have time for your nonsense. Have a nice day." I turned to leave thinking that would be the end of it, but she immediately came after me and matched my pace. Karen: "Don't you take that tone with me, young man. You need to learn some manners." She couldn't have been more than 4 or 5 years older than me at the very most, but whatever. Me: "Excuse me? You're the one who walked up to a stranger to give them crap about their attire. If anyone needs to learn some manners, it's you. Now kindly piss off." Note: yeah, I probably shouldn't have said that. Karen: "What did you just say? I want you to apologize to us or else I'll have a word with your company. I'm sure they won't appreciate you being dressed like a slob." Me, completely done with her at this point. Fine, see if I care. She kept mumbling and complaining under her breath as she followed me. This encounter took place only a few hundred feet from my office, so we reached our building pretty quickly. I'm sure Karen had already prepared a nice little speech to get me fired or something, but as we walked up to the building, I think she realized how futile that would be. Out in front were several of my coworkers, our main IT guy, a couple project managers, and our boss, all in shorts, some in sandals, boss in flip-flops. An IT guy was barefoot. They basically looked like a bunch of rowdy graduate students enjoying a hot summer day outside. As I say hi to my coworkers, I turn around to face Karen, who is just a few feet behind me. Me: "I believe you have something to say?" I was kind of hoping she'd say something because these coworkers of mine can be extremely sarcastic. They talk to annoying clients all the time and they love a good confrontation. She had a look on her face that would curdle milk. Sadly, she just huffed and did a dramatic turnaround. We had a good laugh about it when I told them what had just happened. I feel bad for the kid who's going to grow up overdressed in hot weather and underdressed in the cold, just because it's not the right season. And our second story. No, you can't block our entrance. This story happened a couple of years ago. At the time, I was working in a store that sold mostly new agey stuff. I didn't and still don't really believe in that stuff, and I don't think my boss did either. Anyway, the money was good and there wasn't a whole lot of work to do on an average day. I also had developed a persona for talking to customers, but that's a story for another time. On this particular day, I was checking stock on some necklaces we sold because I had to order new ones. The necklaces were right next to the entrance, so I got to see the approaching customer in all her glory. The particular customer, let's call her LA for Lance Armstrong, came racing in on her bike, almost knocking over someone in the walkway in the process. You see, LA had ignored the handy bicycle lane and instead had chosen to use the much more crowded walkway. Because our city loves cyclists, the streets our store was on had a lot of places specifically designed for parking bikes, one of which was right next to our store. LA chose to ignore these as well and instead parked her bike perpendicular to our store's entrance, leaving barely enough space for her to get in. I got to her as she was locking her bike. Me. Excuse me, ma'am, would you mind moving your bike to one of the designated spots? Or at the very least, move it so it doesn't block the entrance? LA. I just need to buy one thing. I won't be there long. Me. Regardless, I'd appreciate it if you'd move your bike. It's blocking other customers from coming in. This prompted LA to unlock her bike and get back on. LA. Fine. If you don't want me as a paying customer, I'll go to New Age store that closed 4 years ago instead. Me. Good luck. About an hour later, the phone rings. It's LA, but she doesn't recognize my voice. She goes off on a tangent about how one of our staff members barred her from entering the store for no reason whatsoever. Me. Ma'am, I was the one that requested you move your bike. I never barred you from our store. I just wanted you to keep the entrance free for other customers. LA. I want to talk to your boss. Me. Sure. Hands phone to boss. My boss takes the call and I continue what I was doing. I'd already explained what had happened with LA, and we both had a good laugh over her going to a store that had been gone for 4 years. Afterwards, my boss tells me that LA had made some crazy accusations, none of which she believed or even took serious. When my boss told LA that she didn't believe her, LA cursed at her over the phone and threatened to call corporate on a privately owned store with only 5 employees. Boss wished her good luck with that. Now, this is where the story should have ended, but there's more. LA came back to the store 2 days later. I recognized her by her parking her bike in front of the entrance again, this time with my boss's blessing. I actually did bar her from the store and told her she was more than welcome to come back if she parked her bike in the designated area and if she made an apology to both me and my boss. LA left and I haven't seen her since. She did leave behind a nice review on our Facebook page in which she referred to me specifically as being friendly and very helpful. Just kidding. Her 1-star review was filled with more of her lies and a lot of name-calling aimed specifically at me. She even referred to me as the Wicked Witch of the store. I wore that crap like it was a badge of honor for the rest of my time in the store. At my boss's request, I got to leave a reply on the review, including video footage of her parking her bike in front of the store. Madam, we cannot sell to you because I can tell that your aura is giving off a terrible vibe in Sagittarius through my crystals. And our last story. Entitled Aunt tried to get my grandmother to give her the house. My mom's older brother's wife is a very entitled person. She also raised 2 bully and entitled daughters. But this story's about her mainly. This is a summary from 3 sources: mom, grandmother, and me. On to the story. So recently, my aging grandfather had to be placed in a veterans nursing home since his health has been declining and he's been diagnosed with dementia. Because of this, my poor, sweet grandmother was living alone in their 3-bedroom, 2-bath house alone. It's a huge house and very nice, but too much for grandmother. Guess who reached out first when grandmother broke the news that she needs to downsize? You guessed it, Entitled Aunt. Now, grandmother and EA aren't on the best of terms, as they don't like one another for obvious reasons and past experiences. But that doesn't stop the entitlement EA has for anything. She calls grandmother and said that she and my uncle will take over the house and will buy it from her for a quarter of the price the house is worth. It was more of a demand than asking. Knowing how awful she is with houses and not wanting them to damage the house, she declines and reaches out to Mom for help. Good thing she did, too, as EA was blowing up Grandmother's phone with hurtful messages and trying to guilt trip her into giving the house to her and my uncle, saying that they're going to lose their home soon, which wasn't true, and so on. Mom had enough and called my uncle to get him to control his wife. Uncle tries, but not very well, and lets her do everything and anything she wants. I don't know why he loves her. She's crazy. Anyway, as my mom and grandmother worked on getting her place set up for sale and selling items that she doesn't want anymore, after sorting it out and giving the items that her children wanted and saving the things us grandkids wanted, they found someone on day one of sale and were in the process of the paperwork, routine inspection on the house, etc. EA found out, and she did something idiotic. After posting all over social media that they sold their house and are moving to the same state that we're in, she called up grandmother and told her that they just arrived in the state and they'll be arriving on the property the next day for moving in. Suffice to say, we were all like, what the hell? Mom immediately calls up my uncle and asks if it's true. Sadly, it was. She said that grandmother agreed to it and is giving us the house for free. So they sold the house, packed up everything in a truck, and drove down to move in right away. Grandmother never said that, mind you, and told her son that they're selling the house to someone more deserving than her and you. EA grabs the phone and starts screaming at grandmother for being selfish and going back on her word and selling it to some stranger who would destroy the place. Grandmother shouts back that she's not entitled to the house and neither is her son. My D house, my D decision. Your entitled A is not getting anything. That was one of the only times I heard my grandmother use language, and it was appropriate. In the end, the house goes to a great couple with 2 very sweet kids, and Mom prepared a new place for grandmother, while EA and my uncle stayed in a hotel with a U-Haul truck full of their stuff for a month, then scurry back to the state they came from after finding a small house they found and are still PO'd at us for going back on our word. A word that they made up and assumed that we would bow to EA's whims. 2 words. Hell no. Wow. Just wow. It started out regular level entitled, then morphed into such a huge monster level entitlement that I think my jaw dropped open. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.